Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Estrella virtual visit series. My name is Allison Campbell with Estrella Consulting, and I'm so excited to welcome Dan McDermott from Fordham University. This virtual visit series is designed to allow you to get to know different colleges and universities around the US and around the globe and their staff in a more personal way. So thank you so much, Dan, for joining us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, Allison. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I know. I feel like we were talking before we started recording that we've connected so many times via Zoom, or actually not via Zoom, via email and corresponding through messages and our students. But it's nice to finally have you on to talk all about Fordham because you guys have been so popular recently, which is a good thing for you.
Yeah, it's a great thing to have. Our apps are up about 30% this year, so looking good
Yeah,
in terms of popularity. So we're
that's a
excited
good
about
problem to
that.
have.
Yeah, it's it's a lot of work, but it's a good problem to have.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, it could be the opposite. You definitely don't want to be down 30% apps or we'd be in trouble,
correct.
right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, if you want to just kind of give a quick bio, just how long you've been at Fordham, a little bit about yourself, we would love to hear more.
Yeah, so I'm the Senior Assistant Director of Undergraduate Admission. I have been at Fordham for 16 years now. I had a lot more hair when I started. Uh, and I've had the Ohio area for about a dozen years.
Okay.
Uh, so, yeah, I've been to your old office when you had an office
Yes.
and
Yeah.
done the video years ago. But, that was probably like 8 years ago. So, um,
Yeah. We don't even have a physical office anymore.
I know.
So,
Yeah, I tried to look you guys up when I was in Ohio last time because I was at Western Reserve Academy, and I'm like, oh, it used to be right down the road.
yeah.
Been
Yeah,
pretty fun.
definitely. I feel like our team is all virtual, so there really wasn't any need to have a physical office space anymore, but it's nice to get to see our team every now and then. And my our owner Christina, she really loved having the reps, and that's kind of where this all started was she used to have the reps come in when they were coming to, Hudson High School or Western Reserve Academy and have them stop in and they would do a recording. She's like, I'd really love to get back to that. And like I was telling you, this has become a really great tool for us because not only is it helpful for our staff and for our students to have, kind of behind the scenes knowledge of a college and get to know like familiar names and faces. Especially we try to focus on whoever has Ohio or like the Midwest, but our students are coming from all over the US and we had a couple international students the last few cycles. So again, just it's great to connect names and faces and people that are applying to these schools kind of feel like they already know someone on campus, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So glad you could join us. So
Thank
give us a background about Fordham. So if you're watching this and you're like, okay, I know it's in New York City, but tell me all about it. We'd love to hear like your 90-second commercial.
Yeah, so we're a Jesuit university in New York City. So that covers kind of three areas that we're a Jesuit and Catholic university and have everything that the Jesuits kind of back there. The Jesuits were kind of the original founders of colleges and universities almost 500 years ago. So they literally wrote the book on how to run a college. So if you tell people you're Jesuit educated, it's normally a good stamp of approval. So
Mhm.
um, a lot of that is how we interact with the students, right? So we only have about a third that are practicing Catholics. So a lot of students from
Okay.
different backgrounds. Being in New York City, we hired our first rabbi for Jewish students. We hired our first imam for a Muslim population. We have a pastor, a non-denominational pastor for students of other faiths that may want someone to talk to that's not necessarily a Jesuit Catholic priest. So we try and meet everyone where they are and give them an area to come and talk and share. So lots of opportunities to grow as a person, or just get to know people. So as I said, the Jesuits, the three aspects are care personalis, which is care of the
Mhm.
person. So we really treat students as individuals, right? So small class size, the average class size is 22. The largest classes are capped at 60. We have an 18 to 1 student to teacher ratio. So you really come to Fordham to be known, to be engaged. You'll never be student 278 in a lecture hall of 500 people when you
Mhm.
come there. The next idea is modest, which kind of translates as more. And one of our deans said, like, when you think of your high school education, it's kind of like jet skiing on a lake, where you're going really fast all over the place and just skimming the surface. He's like, when you come to Fordham, I want scuba divers. I want students that are ready to put on that equipment and take a deep dive into a subject matter. And he's like, I don't care if you're coming as an accounting major, when you take your mandatory philosophy class, I want you to put on that philosopher's cap and think like a philosopher and write like a philosopher and question life like a philosopher. So we want students that are kind of academically restless and want
Okay.
to learn a little bit about everything and not just be focused in one area. Even though we do have over 70 majors and minors, to have that flexibility, which is part of our core.
Okay.
So they'll take about 15 courses that run the gamut of English composition, math, social science, fine arts, language, two theology, and two philosophy while they're there with us. And most of those classes they'll take their first 2 years, and it kind of helps them kind of focus on what kind of major they want, right? So they may say it on
Okay.
their application, but they may take their first psychology course when they said they wanted to be a history major and like, wow, I really like this, and then
Hmm.
leave as a double major, right? Or add a minor. So I find that a lot of our students, as they said, are academically restless. So after taking the core, it's not just I was a history major or something like that. It's like I was a history and a minor in American studies with another major in political science, right? Because they've had so many different areas that they've been touched with that
Hmm.
they kind of were excited to dive into that. And then the final part of the Jesuit education is men and women for others. So our students normally do about 1 million hours of community service. It is not required. We're only a medium-sized school. We only have about 10,000 undergrads. But it's
Okay.
something our students normally are drawn to, right? They're working hard in the classroom. They have cool internships. They're doing fun stuff in the city. But when they have free time, it's not the kind of place where they are, just scrolling Instagram or playing Mario Kart in their room with their roommates. Like they're going out, they're running after school programs, they're working in soup kitchens, they're doing tree plantings, things like that. Um, so we're really proud of our students that come through, and we want them to not only do well when they leave and have the nice banking account, house and car and everything, but we fail them if they're not leaving and doing good and not
Hmm.
just doing well. So I think that's kind of the Jesuit education there. The university part, we are a major research university, so there's lots of
Okay.
different advanced programs they can have. Um, we have a pre-law track. We have a pre-health advisory track for anyone who's thinking of med school, nursing school, any of those things like that. We have a 5-year MBA program, uh, 5-year teaching degree. So lots of different advanced
Okay.
degrees that are available as well. And then finally, we're in New York City. So plenty of different things on a campus that most colleges have, right? So we have over 200 different clubs. So if you ever get bored of those 200 clubs, you leave our gates and you are in the most exciting city in the world. So that's one of the appealing parts. So those are the kind of three things that make Fordham special, that we're a Jesuit and that the university aspect with the opportunity to get advanced degrees with us and go on for
Mhm.
greater things. And then the proximity to New York, right? So we have two campuses.
Yeah.
I'm at the Lincoln Center campus, which is right in the heart of Manhattan, right? So we're in Columbus Circle, right in the southwest corner of Central Park. We have an 8-acre campus here. There's two residence halls, so you can live on campus. Um, and then there is the Rose Hill campus in the Bronx, which was the original
Okay.
one. Kind of looks a little more traditional. So it was built in 1841, so it kind of looks like Hogwarts.
Okay.
Students can take the Ram van, which is a shuttle van that goes back and forth every half hour between the two campuses. And you can, even though you'll have a home campus that you live on, where your major is, you can still have a minor on the other campus or take classes on the other
Okay.
campus. So there's a lot of flexibility for students.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like because we've been in contact, I have a little bit of background, but I also have a lot of questions too. Like, so I feel like a couple of things that you talked about that I really loved. I love your size. I think we call it, in the IEC world, the Goldilocks size. That 10,000 is perfect, because it's big enough where there is, enough students that you're not going to know every single person. There's a lot of diversity on your campus. You mentioned like all the things to do, but the classes are, not super big. It's not like 40,000 people. There's still opportunities to get involved and to, have like those small group opportunities. So I really love that. I think that's really cool. I love that you said, I'm going to find this back in my notes, that you had like academically restless. I think I've never heard someone say that before. And like we've heard like academically curious or like people that are looking for like an open curriculum. But would you consider yourself a liberal arts university?
Well, we do have a liberal arts and science college, and then we also
Okay.
have an amazing Gabelli School of Business. which
Okay.
Holtz and Quaince, which is the business school magazine for colleges, has us ranked eighth. So
Okay.
tremendous business school, but then also great opportunities within the liberal arts and science college. So each of the
Okay.
campuses, the Bronx and the Manhattan have a liberal arts and science college and a business school. So there's four
Oh, okay.
options for students. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. So yeah, I mean, I just feel like you have a lot of opportunities. Like you said, you have like a lot of like research routes and like students can explore. So it feels kind of like liberal arts to me. I know that the business program is really strong. Actually, a really good family friend of ours. Oh, fun fact, I have triplets. They're 11. Our
Oh,
neighbors have triplets. They're 20. And one is at Fordham and is a part of the Gabelli Business School and absolutely loves it. So
great.
um, yeah, yeah. So I feel like I knew Fordham before I even knew it, just through how much, they had researched it and he really enjoys it. So, but like Artie has studied abroad and just has all of these like resources at his fingertips. And then obviously you said like New York, just like to have that as, at the fingertips of all your students. And like you said, just having that real, I mean, anything you want to study, anything you want to do, any way you want to get immersed, like there's no better place in the world to do that. And that's such an asset for your students.
Right. It's the melting pot of the world in New York City, right? So any kind of language you want to hear, any kind of like food you want to eat, just find the right neighborhood. Um, and I mean, a lot of people think New York City's expensive and it's not cheap, but
Hmm.
it's a college town, right? So there's over 500,000 college students in New York City right now. So it's kind
Oh,
of
wow.
the ultimate college town. So they do have lots of, First Fridays where museums are free at that time and things like that. Broadway student rush passes where you can go for a discounted rate.
Oh,
Student
cool.
involvement will have nights where they'll pay for you to go out to dinner and you pay $10 and you eat a $75 meal and the rest is like covered by student involvement. So there's still ways to get involved and do things in New York. You're not just sitting in your dorm the whole time.
That's great. Yeah, and that's true. I mean, I think we try to inform students too. They're looking at a place like in New York or Chicago or LA, like college is expensive and like we know that it's quite an investment for many of our families, but like you want to make sure that it's affordable in the way that you can actually go do stuff as well. So I love that you said that there are some things that are baked in for your students because again, like if they're putting every single dime into going to college, but then like they don't have enough money to go out to eat or to do any of the things that New York has to offer, like they could have done that at home if they're just going to sit in a dorm room for probably a
Right.
lot less. So I love that you give that access to your students to experience the city and take advantage of that. So um, this is probably one of the questions I'll ask later on anyway, and I'll circle back to that. So, um, what type with a 30% uptick in your early applications, you must be doing something right, but what are some trends that you're seeing in your with your admit pool? Are you seeing like students from a certain area or a particular major? Maybe like you said, application plan is really popular right now. Can you explain maybe what you're seeing with your applicant pool?
Yeah, so we hired a new VP of marketing that started last year. Um, So he kind of revamped a lot of things. We totally rebranded the university. Um, and we've been doing more outreach on things like Facebook or Instagram, TikTok, like having ads like that. So trying to find more ways to get into students' phones and things like that are exciting ways to engage people. Um, so we're excited about that. NACAC, which is the National Association of College
Hmm.
Admission Counselors, was in Columbus, Ohio this year, and we went. I don't know if you
I
engaged.
wasn't there. My boss was there, but I was not
Okay,
there.
yes,
I
I
had
saw
major
her
FOMO.
there. Yeah. So
Major FOMO.
the pizzeria across the street from the convention center we took over for a day and branded it the Fordham Pizza Shop. We had our Fordham Ram mascot and a pizza apron, handing out free slices to high school counselors. And we had almost 1,000 counselors. So there were 6,000 attendees, roughly.
Hmm.
950 of them came through and got pizza with us.
Oh,
Took
that's
pictures with the
awesome.
Ram. It was like a really fun engagement. And there were people that, hadn't seen Fordham in a while, and they were like, "Oh wow, like Fordham, this is kind of exciting and cool." So it's a great way to kind
Hmm.
of touch base with a national kind of pool again. So I think that really helped jumpstart. And it was in Columbus, Ohio, so my Ohio apps are much higher this year. So there you
Yes.
go. Yes. I'm also not just Ohio. I said Ohio, but since you have students in other areas, I also have Western Pennsylvania,
Okay.
Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee. And
Okay.
then in the New York area, my local territory is Rockland County, all the way up the Hudson River to Albany. So if
Oh,
you have
wow.
any students there, they work with me, and we have a team of about 20, and we have the world divided up between us. So you can
Oh,
always
wow.
look up on the website who your admission counselor is and reach out to them.
Okay. Speaking of your website, we're just, like I said, I usually have like a set of questions, but we just kind of go where this leads. I think you guys have done a really nice job with just giving some resources, like self-directed resources for your students on your website. So, like I had mentioned, I had a student that was very interested and he was asking questions like, well, which campus should I list? I don't really know. Like, I have an idea what I want to major, but I kind of want more of a traditional campus. But I think most of the things I want to do are like going to be in the Manhattan one. Um, and you were just like, you need to have him register for our webinar. We have a webinar that's like, which campus should I choose? Or um, spotlights on specific majors. So I love that I could just kind of send him there. And granted, I know that he could reach out to you and ask those questions, but to get like a student perspective or just to like give people the resources, especially if you have 30% climate apps, you can't answer every single email and ask the same questions over and over and over again. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that you have those resources, and I was just able to direct him to that. And his mom was like, "Oh, this is great. This is next Tuesday. We can totally do that." Um, but also, do you track things like that for like demonstrated interest, or do you consider demonstrated interest at all?
Yeah, so this fall we offered over 700 in-person or virtual events, right? So we realized not everyone can pick up and fly to New York and do a whole info session and campus tour. So I think COVID helped in that we started offering more virtual events, right? For
Mhm.
people in areas where they couldn't get to New York right away. So there are events like the deans of the business school or liberal arts college will do presentations on their colleges and certain majors. Um, I think the one that we talked about was a RAM talk,
Mhm.
which we offer every Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern, which is one of our students from the Bronx campus and one from the Manhattan campus. No old person like me in there. It's just them kind of hosting an hour-long kind of Zoom podcast where they'll talk about a topic. But it's an hour long, so students can interject with questions of their own and say like, "Hey, why did you choose Fordham?" Or,
Mhm.
tell me about your internship, or did you study abroad? So I think that's one of the best things we do because it gives all of your students and the opportunity to really just ask, student to student, why Fordham for that person and why it might be the right fit for them. And it's not a sales pitch, it's genuine, right? Our students are people of the community here, and they know they want to build the Ramily, as we call it.
I love it.
So they engage students and love talking about their experience and hopefully bringing the right people. But yes, going back to that, we are um, not totally dependent on looking at demonstrated interest, but I think it's something that's helpful, right?
Okay.
So with my varied areas, right? So I have some local students and I have students from across the Midwest, right? So if it's down to like two students and I see that someone has come from Indianapolis to visit, once or twice or do some RAM sessions or RAM talks with us,
Hmm.
whereas a local kid in Rockland hasn't really done anything, right? He can just cross a
Yeah.
bridge and visit us anytime. I'm probably gonna, put my thumb on the scale for the student that's coming to visit, that's taking the time
Yeah.
to get to know us. Because, the wonderful thing about the Common App, and we're a Common App exclusive, is that it's so easy to apply to so many different schools, right? But
Hmm.
the terrible thing about the Common App is it's so easy to apply to so many different schools, right? So I
Yeah.
don't know when I'm going through the 44,000 apps that we get, if a student just applied because they got a fee waiver and they're like, oh, yeah, sure, why not Fordham? Or someone has really been in love with Fordham for a couple of years and, joined those sessions. So when students can tell us, like, yes, I've taken the time to get to know you, because with the app,
Hmm.
we do a holistic read. We're reading everything, all your letters of recs, your essays, everything. We want to get to know you. We hope that you have taken the time already to get to know us by the time you apply and not just cast a big net and then see where you get in and then visit in the spring because it may be too late then. So if anyone's a
Yeah.
junior, I highly recommend visiting early. You can visit in the summer. We have a whole summer load. So it's good to get to know us and do
Yeah.
official tours and other things we offer.
Yeah, yeah. Like I mean, you have so many options. So for someone to say like, "Oh, I couldn't visit," oh, I can. You don't have to visit. I mean, we have six, like you said, 60 online programs. You can reach out to you. You can meet at a fair, a local fair, or a high school visit if that's an opportunity. So I think that's kind of a cop out if a student says, "Oh, I couldn't make the time." Like there are so many ways that you can do that. And like you had mentioned with like the advent of COVID, unfortunately, that was something that like colleges were forced to do, and they had to provide a lot of online resources for students, and they're great. So definitely take advantage of that. Academically, would you say that there are particular majors, like you mentioned the Gabelli College of Business, but are there any majors or programs that are just really on fire for you right now that you're seeing a ton of applicants or, like almost viral programs that people are interested in?
Yeah, I mean, psychology is normally our biggest liberal arts major
Okay.
for students. So that's exciting. We have that. We have an integrative neuroscience that's kind of an offshoot of that, which is a little bit of psychology, right? A little bit of biology, like the chemicals on the brain, things like that, and with medication, and then also working with AI to help computers think more like the human mind. So that's kind of a cool program. And then we offer a master's in cybersecurity that every other summer, the FBI and CIA hold their annual cybersecurity conference on the Lincoln Center campus.
Oh, wow, that's
So they've been
cool.
doing that for years. And like, you know what? Why don't we design a program for you guys? So they did that. So they are fully ready to go work for the FBI or CIA after, or, in private business. Every business has to worry about cybersecurity nowadays with
Hmm.
firewalls and protection and hackers.
Yeah.
So that's a popular one. And then some of our older staples that are always very popular. We have a BFA that we offer in conjunction with Alvin Ailey Dance Studio. So
Oh,
that's
cool.
always a popular one. And then we have a BA theater program that we have at Lincoln Center. And Denzel Washington's probably our most famous graduate. So it's a very strong theater program. It's awesome because you're getting taught by a lot of people who are in the biz, right? They're teaching class by day and then going to work on Broadway in the evening. So you're getting amazing professional working with you and teaching and instructing you. So those are
That's
popular
awesome.
ones. Our pre-health advisory track is really strong. So we have a lot of students that'll come and then go off to med school after us. Our med school
Okay.
acceptance rate is almost double the national average. Um, you get some amazing hands-on experience because we have a club called Fumes, which is Fordham University Medical Emergency Services, where you can be trained
Okay.
as an EMT, right? And
Oh,
you
cool.
work shifts throughout the week um, as an EMT, and you may be working a football game. And unfortunately, if someone breaks their leg, you're the one driving the cart out, putting them in
Hmm.
the air cast and getting them on the ambulance and taking them to the ambulance to the hospital. So it's great when you
Okay.
apply to med school to not only say, hey, these are my, MCAT scores, this is my GPA, but like, and the last 3 years I've been dealing with trauma patients. I know how to do this. I know how to administer CPR. Like
Yeah.
things like that, the hands-on experience that our students get really helps to set them apart.
Yeah, definitely. That hands-on experience is really critical and kind of priceless. So that's good to know. Do you have any like partnership programs? So like you said that like with meds, like with a med school, do you think of, oh, if you do well at Fordham, you have, fast track with Columbia. I'm just totally throwing this out there. Like, do you have any type of partnerships like that where Fordham undergrads are kind of like migrated into a postgraduate program?
Yeah, so we have a 3-2 engineering program that
Okay.
is a cooperative program that we do with, I always say Columbia University, right? So it's right in
Mhm.
between our two campuses, the Bronx one and the Manhattan one. But then since you're in the Cleveland area, Case Western is the other school.
Okay.
So
Cool.
I love when I go out to Ohio and people are like, "Oh yeah, Case." A lot of
Mhm.
times I, I say it and they're like, "Where's that?" So it's great
Yep.
with that crowd to say that. So if a student wants to be like a chemical engineer, they would come to Fordham for 3 years as chemistry major, graduate in 3 years with a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, and then go to Columbia the last 2 years and just get an engineering degree. So in the 5 years,
Okay.
they get a bachelor's from Fordham in whatever field, chemistry, computer science, biochemistry, biology, whatever field they wanted to do, and then an engineering degree from Columbia. So it's a great way to tack on an Ivy League diploma. So that's a great
Mhm.
partnership that we have with Columbia and Case Western um,
That's
to
great.
offer that to
Okay.
our students.
So
Yeah.
engineering, anything with like medicine, law, the
Well, we
arts.
have a 3-3 law program. So Fordham
Okay.
Law is pretty highly regarded. Um, so that one's intense, but there's a lot of students at this phase who are interested. So basically, you come to Fordham and you're studying for the LSATs and taking them junior year, and then applying to Fordham Law School junior year. So then senior year, you're doing the first year of law school combined with whatever you need to finish up for senior year. So it's really meant for students that come in with a lot of AP credits, IB credits, who have taken summer credits with us. So basically, for 3 years, you're kind of trying to lighten your load of what your senior year would be so that you could focus more on the first year of law school. Um, so that's a great opportunity.
And
Um,
that's in-house, like you said. So it's
that's
3 years of
in-house.
undergrad at
Yeah.
Fordham, 3 years of law school at Fordham. And
Yep.
you're basically saving a year, or are they doing it like a year round? So the tuition really isn't like a big break, or is there like, I guess, a year of tuition break?
It's up to how they do it, right? So if
Okay.
you some students will say, okay, I'm gonna get a summer internship in New York, and then I'll take 2 classes while I'm here in the summer. So you still have to pay for those, but if you come in with lots of AP credits, that you don't have to pay for with us. We'll just let you know when you start with us, like, okay, you're starting with 15 credits or 24 credits or whatever. So there are a lot of students that will graduate early because they come in with enough AP credits, IB credits, things like that. And we take
Okay.
APs of fours and fives.
Okay. That's good to know. I'll mark that down as well. Um, okay, let's talk real quickly about the application process. So you said you're strictly on the Common App, which is great. Is there an application fee typically, or is it easy to grab a waiver? Like, can you explain that real
Yeah,
fast?
there's typically an application fee,
Okay.
$70 for students. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. That sounds good. And then what about your testing policy?
we are test optional.
Okay.
Um,
For
and
everything, every major?
every major, yeah. So
Okay.
65% of the students who were admitted last year did not submit testing. So I think sometimes students will hear test optional, and be like, I'm going to submit anyway, right? So it's always in your best interest to kind of look at our profile every year before you submit, because you may have worked hard for, a 1280 and be like, okay, I'm going to send it in because I know I worked really hard. And then you send it in and the average score is a 1370, right? And then right off the
Yeah.
bat, you're telling us, well, I'm weaker than other students. And we're looking at
Yeah.
everything, but like if it's optional, it's kind of like pleading the fifth in court, I always say, right? It's
Hmm.
optional. You didn't have to tell us something that's going to hurt yourself, but you chose to tell
Yeah.
us anyway, right? So
So you don't have a
we
no
want you to
harm
be savvy
policy, is
about
what
it.
you're trying to
Yeah,
say. Like it
right.
would
Yeah,
harm you to not do your due diligence and know what the range is. And that's again like the beauty of working with an IEC is typically like we can just go in and granted it's all on the common data set typically. So a student could figure that out if they wanted to, but if we do that for them to say like, I don't think that 1270 is going to work in your favor. Let's hold off on that.
right.
Um,
And if we see
but
something, we have to see something, right? So if you send it
yeah,
in, we can't ignore it. So it's best to think about it, reflect before you send in. If
yeah.
you're not doing the testing, you just have to do an essay, an extra essay. And
Oh,
I
okay.
always say testing is great, right? It's
Mhm.
a number though, and you are more than a number, right? So it's kind of like a skeleton, and with 44,000 apps, it's hard to tell one skeleton from another. When you write an essay instead, that's your fingerprint, right? You can write about, I love Fordham's, 3-3 law program, or I've learned about your study abroad program, or I took a tour and Tiffany was amazing. She was from my hometown. She got me so excited. That's your time to flex what you know about Fordham, how you see
Okay.
yourself in 4 years of Fordham and what you're going to do with your life after that, right? Like, as I
Okay.
said, it's so easy for anyone to just apply via the Common App, but like that's your helpful time to kind of flex. Like, I know about Fordham. This is why I want to be there.
Okay. So if you're a test optional candidate, you have to do this additional. Kind of like a
Correct.
why Fordham. Okay. All right, that's
Yep.
good to know. I feel like because my last two students have all sent in a test, so I did not know that. That's really
Yeah.
interesting.
And
I do like
you're
the
still
Fordham
welcome to
essay
send
though.
in testing and do the essay if you choose.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know. All right, well, we're about coming up on time, so I'm going to ask you, I don't know, are you an alum?
I am not. I grew up in
Okay.
the Bronx, so I could walk to the Bronx campus from my parents' house. So I did not want to go
You
there. I
were
wanted
trying to
something
get away and now
different.
you're
Yeah.
back.
But I'm
Okay.
back
Would
and
you,
I've been here for 16 years. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, perfect. Well, this is the question that I have, and I always try to ask it to everybody, but I love that you have a lot of experience. So I feel like in the last 16 years, you probably have a good answer to this. But could you give me either the most notable alum or interesting alum from Fordham that you know that you could reference, or maybe
hmm
like a really interesting guest speaker or concert or something, someone that's been really impactful that you've had on your campus? You could pick either one.
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, Denzel Washington is our most famous alum. Sorry, Vince Lombardi, you've been superseded there.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because Denzel loves doing Broadway, and every now and then he's like back to do like Fences or Othello, and he's right down the road from the Lincoln Center campus. So I hate that he's mysterious about it, but he sneaks onto campus and will pop into theater classes and be like, "Hey guys, like, why don't we run some lines together?" And
Oh
like
my
we'll
gosh.
just
Could you
like
even
run
imagine?
scenes with a Fordham student. Yeah. And then we don't hear about it until the next day. And they're like, oh yeah, Denzel was, on campus yesterday.
Oh my
So he
goodness.
likes to be just kind of like low key, but he's been such a big supporter of us and the theater program. There's a Denzel Washington chair, so we're always able to bring in a professional. It rotates, professional
Mhm.
playwright or director or actor. We've had some cool people come through with that. So it's awesome that he's not just a checkbook alum, but like actually loves coming back and engaging with the
Yeah.
students. Because he realized Fordham changed his life. I think he was a history major when he started here, and one of his
hmm
teachers was like, maybe you should try acting, and kind of got him on that path. So that's a
Yeah.
really cool thing.
Very, very cool. Great answer. I love that. So, well, Dan, thank you so much for your time. This was really insightful. And again, if you're watching this, if you have questions about Fordham, please reach out to Dan and his staff. Maybe I would say maybe after December 1, but yeah, you can still reach out to me before December 1. He's just going to be busy. He's going to be reading a lot of
Yes, yeah,
apps. But again, we really appreciate your time. And if you're ever back in the Cleveland area, please let us know.
yes. I'll be back in the fall, so I'm always out there
Awesome.
for a few days in the fall. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All
Thank you so
right.
much
Well,
for
thanks
this time.
again.
Yeah, my
Anytime.
pleasure.
Thanks for
Thanks.
taking the time to join us. Have
My
take care.
pleasure. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.